I've been a collector of the Schwinn lightweights for about 30 years. My favorite one is the Varsity, but I have had quite a few Continentals and some other models. I've been commuting to work by bicycle for about 30 years and have retired a few of my Varsities with over 20,000 miles on it. I have posted a story of these commuter bikes on the Schwinn website on their collector's forum page. The title of the story is called 20,000 Mile Varsity. I've had over 25 Schwinns at one time in my collection in the past, picking them up at garage sales pretty cheap and restoring them. They all tended to be men's frames and in all the different frame sizes. But the 24-inch frame fits me, so I've since sold off all but the 24-inch frames. At times, if they were cheap enough, I would pick up the women's frames just for the components, then I'd part them out. The first bike in the collection is a November 1970 cotton picker. I did want at least one crate in my collection, and rather than look for the rarest gray ghost, I decided to go for the second rarest cotton picker. I purchased this bike restored, so I don't know if it was originally a cotton picker. The next bike is a August 71 Cool Lemon Super Sport. It's the only Super Sport I have at this time. I have had 3 others before, but I have since sold them. Now, the next bike was a project I had wanted to do for years, and I just completed it this winter. The bike used to be a green November 71 Varsity that was in poor shape. So I did a repaint and complete restoration into what I call the Santa Fe Varsity. And the story behind this is, as a kid in the 1960s, 2 of the best toys under the Christmas tree were a Schwinn bike and a Lionel train set. And the train set I had at the time was the Santa Fe Super Chief in the War Bonnet paint colors. If you look up Santa Fe F7, you will see that the engines on the train are in this color pattern. Anyway, so I combined these colors onto the Varsity, and I'm happy with the way the project came out. The next bike is a December 1972 Cool Orange Continental. And I'll note that on some or most of these bikes that I have, I've laced in the stainless steel quality spokes for the shine that they have, and the ease of cleaning, and they don't tarnish like the original Schwinn spokes. The next bike is a January 1973 opaque blue Continental. Even though this is a Continental, it is one of my favorites because of the condition and the color. The next bike is a September 1976 Bicentennial Varsity. I never thought I would have one of these in my collection. I always did want one, but I finally came across one about 2 years ago, and so I picked it up. It's in fair to good shape. The next bike is a September 1978 Varsity, one I call the Racer. This was another project I completed about 10 years ago. And because while my commuter bikes were stock and heavy with accessories, I wanted a Varsity that was light for some of the organized events that I would do during the year. So I had this one repainted and added lightweight components. I put an adapter into the bottom bracket so I could install the Shimano 105 3-piece crank. It has Phil hubs, Mavic wheels, Michelin tires. And at this time, after 10 years, I have 960 miles on it. One event that I do every year is the Mount Diablo Challenge in the San Francisco Bay Area, and this year will be my 23rd year doing it. The other event that I do is usually the Delta Century in Stockton, California, and that's the full 100-mile ride. The next bike is a November 78 Flamboyant Red Varsity. This is the Commuter to Be, and this bike was prepped to be my next commuter when the current one breaks down, because there was a time when I didn't have a backup Varsity and I had to use a Continental. You might notice that the Varsity decal on the down tube is not correct for this 1978. I do like the old style decals, so I was able to carefully remove the original decals on this one and apply the older style. The next bike is a January 1980 Schwinn Deluxe Twin 1980 flamboyant red tandem. It's my only tandem at this time. I did have a 1955 Town & Country in the past, but I have since sold it. The next one is a November 1983 High Sierra. It's my only mountain bike. I learned a lot about this bike this year when I read the book titled No Hands, which is a story about the Schwinn Bicycle Company. And I found out this bike was made by the Giant Bicycle Company. And if I remember correctly, I think this may have been the first year, 83, or it may have been 82, but I seem to remember where this was the first year of the High Sierra for Schwinn. That was made by Giant Bicycle Company. The next bike is a September 81 flamboyant red Varsity, and this is my current commuter, and this is how it's set up for commuting. It has been in service for about 2 years and has just over 6,000 miles on it. I also changed the decal on the down tube on this one, but could not get the original off without damaging the paint. So I applied a sheet of white vinyl and put the decals over that, and to try to give it a red, white, and blue look. I'm not sure I'm used to it quite yet. And here we have a set of 3 forks, and these were my previous commuters. And this is what's left of them. The first one was the August 79 Emerald Green Varsity. This bike I purchased brand new from a Schwinn dealer, brand new in the box in 1983. And I put 20,000 miles on it by the time I retired it. The frame had cracked at the bottom bracket several times, and I welded it up several times until finally, once I reached 20,000 miles, I finally retired it. And this is the bike that prompted me to write my story on the Schwinn website. The second set of forks was a September 71 Cool Orange Varsity. And on this one, I put 22,506 miles on it by the time I retired it. And it also cracked at the bottom bracket, but only the one time at 22,506 miles, and then I retired it. One significant story on this bike while I was using it, I tried to do my own personal double century one day in the summertime, and I got as far as 136 miles in 8.5 hours, and I had to quit. But at least that qualifies me for a double metric, and I've never tried to do that again. The third set of forks was a October 72 Cool Lemon Continental. And this is why when my previous commuter broke, I did not have another 24-inch Varsity to use as a commuter. I didn't have the backup. So I used this Continental, and that's why I now keep a backup bike ready. And on this one, I only put 6,319 miles on it before the bottom bracket broke, and I retired it at that time. And last, I do have these 2 Treks. First one is a 2002 Trek 5200 Postal, and the second one is a 2003 5900 Saberline. I purchased these bikes new in the respective years because I wanted something new that I could hold on to as a collector's item. And I liked the way Trek was doing the color schemes at the time, and these bikes were very popular because of the Tour de France victories. But I've had these bikes for these two bikes for almost 10 years now, and between them there's less than 50 miles on them. And I have ridden them a few times, and they do feel strange to me compared to the heavier Schwinns. And I'm going to stick to riding the Varsities. So thank you for watching.